The time has come to finally talk about the best horror movies of 2025, in my opinion. What's up, ghouls and gals? Welcome back. Today we are wrapping up my faves of the year. I'm really excited because I feel like there are so many movies in this list that you're not going to expect being in my top 20. I also feel like I've adopted a top 20 instead of a top 10 every year for the past few years, and that's okay. I've liked a lot of movies. And my list of favorites being more than my least favorites and worst horror movies, I feel like that's saying something. Is this was a pretty good year for horror. So with this video, I actually did try to rank these from my least favorite to most favorite, even though they are all my favorites. I do want to make a note that there are movies that were released maybe in 2023, in 2024, but didn't get like a wider release or a release in Canada where I am until this year. So with those, I will make a note. So even though they are not from 2025, like they still had a release this year. So before we get into it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. Grab a drink because it's going to be a long one. Let's begin my top 20 horror movies of 2025. I should have tried to do 25, but I didn't have enough favorites like that this year. Okay, at number 20, The Home. A troubled man starts working at a retirement home and realizes its residents and caretakers harbor sinister secrets. I went into this movie being a certified Pete Davidson hater, and let me tell you, still am not a fan, but something about this horror movie, it went for it. It went for like the stupid but gory with a cool storyline. I may be a little biased because I did write a short story set in a retirement home. You can buy it, linked down below. It's only $1. I really enjoyed the retirement home horror premise, and fun fact, I almost named my short story The Home, so I'm glad I didn't. At number 19, let's talk about Dark Match. A small-time wrestling company accepts a well-paying gig in a backwoods town only to learn too late that the community is run by a mysterious cult leader with a devious plan for their match. I always say that wrestling and horror go hand in hand, and this movie is a true example of that. You know, I love a movie about a cult, which incredible, and also Chris Jericho plays a cult leader. So good. This next one, I'm kind of sad that it's so far back, but it's one of the only ones on this list that I've seen twice, and that's The Monkey. When twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up monkey, a series of outrageous deaths tear their family apart. 25 years later, the monkey begins a new killing spree, forcing the estranged brothers to confront the cursed toy. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I liked it a lot. I thought it was so fun. I loved the kills. As soon as there was like the babysitter was named Annie Wilkes, I was like, yes, I'm here for this movie. It was like Jesus, I'm getting too excited. It was like my brand of horror. It was a little stupid, a little corny, but at the end of the day it was gory and had a really fun story. And that last shot of the cheerleaders, the beheaded cheerleader, like it was so perfect. I really enjoyed The Monkey. I feel like it should have been a little higher on my list, but I think I liked the next ones more. So let's talk about Jimmy and Stiggs by my beloved Joe Bigos. A shitstorm of bad news sends out-of-work filmmaker Jimmy Lang spiraling into an out-of-control bender, during which he claims he's been abducted by aliens, and fearing they'll come back, he contacts his old friend Stiggs to gear up for war. This movie is slimy, disgusting, neon-soaked nightmare, alien nightmare fuel, and I loved it. It was so chaotic, so gross, so slimy, so crazy. The little alien effects are so fun. I loved every minute of it. Joe Bigos, I love every one of his films. I really enjoyed almost every one of them. Bliss, I'm kind of not too much, but I really enjoy his style of filmmaking. So now thinking about it, I think I would switch my next pick with the monkey and have the monkey at 16 and companion at 18. During a weekend getaway at a secluded lakeside estate, a group of friends find themselves entangled in a web of secrets, deception, and advanced tech. Now, I know I said I hated Megan because I hate the AI dolls, like I skip all those movies, but there was just something about Companion that was just really special. It was the Lucas Gage Harvey Guillen of it all. It was the Sophie Thatcher, the Jack Quaid, the whole storytelling. It was just such a well done movie. The nod at herself, the same robot at the end, like it was so cool, so well done. I really enjoyed Companion, and I'm surprised because I went into that movie going, this movie's gonna be exactly like Fresh based on the trailer, and it was one of those movies that really did prove me wrong. So at number 15, we have Academy Award shortlisted The Ugly Stepsister. In a fairy tale kingdom where beauty is brutal business, Elvira battles to compete with her beautiful stepsister, and she will go to any length to catch the prince's eye. I am so excited that this movie is getting recognition with the Academy. As soon as we saw, like, this movie started, and I was like, okay, whatever. But then it was like so stylized, and with the beautiful stylization comes like kind of a grimy cast on the movie that lets you know like it's not all fun and games. And then the body horror begins and it becomes a true Ashley movie, and I really enjoyed this one. I think at 15 is a solid place for this because I do like the other movies. Like, once again, we're only getting into like movies I really enjoyed more and more, but The Ugly Stepsister is so solid. And at number 14, we have another retirement home film because I seem to really like this genre, The Rule of Jenny Penn. Confined to a secluded rest home and trapped within his stroke-ridden body, a former judge must stop an elderly psychopath who employs a child's puppet to abuse the home's residents with deadly consequences. John Lithgow in this movie is so scary. He is raising Cain all over again with this doll. It was so chilling to watch him and Jeffrey Rush play off of one another. It was so good to watch them in this like creepy environment where like everybody's getting bullied by this guy and like no one's saying anything, but like at nighttime the doll comes out and it's just, it was so good. James Ashcroft is becoming a director I really enjoyed, and fun fact, he used to be roommates, and they were roommates. He used to be roommates with one of my other faves, Elric Kane, who we will talk about later on in this list. But at number 13, Good Boy. A loyal dog moves to a rural family home with his owner, Todd, only to discover supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. You guys know I love Larry Fessenden. Like, my number one crush, my like celebrity crush is specifically Helen Mirren, but also 1995 Larry Fessenden specifically, like in the movie Habit, with like missing tooth and all. I don't know why. But he was in this movie and it made the movie for me, to be honest. And also it was just like such a fresh take on a paranormal film. It's interesting because like when you have an animal, you know that they kind of like hear and see and register things before you do. So knowing that like poor little Indy was just like seeing all this stuff go down in this house, it's like, He probably was. I really enjoyed the storytelling. It was really sad. I ended up bawling my eyes out at the end, and that's how you know it was an effective film. VHS Halloween. You guys know I love a VHS film. A collection of Halloween-themed videotapes unleashes a series of twisted, blood-soaked tales, turning Trick or Treat into struggle for survival. Now, I didn't love all the segments, but I'm always a little biased when it comes to VHS. I just love anthologies, and I love that we get a new one of these installments every year. It's been so fun to have it to look forward to. Okay, at number 11, I said we would talk about Elric Kane, so let's talk about The Dead Thing. A young woman lost in a series of meaningless connections falls in love with a charismatic and sensitive man with a dark secret that turns her affair into a dangerous obsession. Now, Elric is co-host of my favorite podcast ever, Colors of the Dark, and co-host of also Deep Cuts on Patreon. If you know, you know. So I've been listening for, I'm going to say since it started. So 2021, I think I started listening, and it's been so fun to like hear this start from like, oh, I'm working on a project to, oh, project is finished. Oh, project is The Dead Thing. Like, it's been so fun to like hear that and hear all of like the Easter eggs and little things, and to notice things in the movie. There were specific things I noticed that I'm like, oh my god, that is so Elric. Like, I've been listening to the pod for so long. Like, I feel like we're close personal friends at this point. I don't know. It was just like, it was such a good movie. It's such an interesting film. I feel like I picked up on so much that was put into this movie, and there was so much love put into it, and I highly recommend it if you have not seen The Dead Thing. Okay, let's get into my top 10. This is where it's gonna get a little weird. Let's start off with Marshmallow. A movie you probably weren't expecting at all. When a once fabled campfire tale becomes real, a group of campers uncover a profound secret that questions their very existence. This definitely does lean a little more sci-fi, but I loved it. For a summer camp horror, oh my goodness, it turned the whole genre on its head. It was so different, so updated, so fun. I loved it. The child actors, like, they're so committed to this movie, and you can feel it. It was really cool. I highly recommend it if you have not seen it. But let's move into one that was released in 2024, but didn't get a wide release until March of this year. In Canada, at least. They Call Her Death. Molly Prey is on a bloody crusade against the criminal forces who have wronged her. Now, this is a horror western. Never thought I would have one of those on my top 10. This movie was so different. I gave this 5 stars. It was so cool. Like, this is the definition of a movie that is cool. It has like really awesome, like, practical effects and a villain that is really fun to watch, and Molly, like, her character is really, really fun to watch evolve through the whole movie. It is just such a cool film. It's on Shudder. If you guys have a Shudder subscription, this is one of the ones I like truly recommend you watch. It is so, for a horror western, like, it is so good. This would be a really cool double feature with Bone Tomahawk, kind of as a maybe palate cleanser after Bone Tomahawk, to kind of keep the western horror kind of western vibe, but to have a more slick palate cleanser after. So if you want a cool double feature, there you go. Number 8, we have Cannibal Mukbang. Shout out my girl Amy. An exploration of one's relationships with food, sexuality, and revenge. I had been waiting for this movie to come out for a long time. Like, this movie had been in my watch list, had been on my radar. I've been asking Alex left and right, is Cannibal Mukbang out yet? Like, it was, like, I had been waiting and waiting and waiting for this movie. And it was just like more than I had expected. It had such a more deep, rich story than I could have ever expected from a film called Cannibal Mukbang. And Amy and I have become mutuals on social. Same with Elric Kane. Like, it's been really cool to watch these people grow and to just see what they're working on, and to watch these people, these directors evolve, and to see what's to come. It's so exciting. I'm so optimistic for the future of horror. But Cannibal Mukbang, like, this is not your typical cannibal film. This one's gonna make you feel, and I loved that about it. The characters too, the two leads are so likable that you just kind of want to keep watching them as well. So another one I highly recommend. Okay, at number 7, Frankenstein. It had to be on the list. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. I notoriously hate Nate Jacobs, the character. Jacob Elordi, I can like totally separate is the word I'm looking for. And I'm saying that because I did not see like any traces of, like, he was a totally completely separate character in this movie, and it was so cool to watch. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did, because Frankenstein is like one of my favorite stories of all time. Mary Shelley, my girl. I have a whole shelf in my living room dedicated to Frankenstein and Mary Shelley. I have a little statue of Mary out there. But I digress. I was really looking forward to, like, I don't know, my uncle Guillermo. I've made that joke before. If you have been here, you know, my uncle. I was looking forward to a new film, but I don't know if I was necessarily looking forward to a new Frankenstein adaptation, but this totally subverted my expectations. I was in it, I was doing crafts, I was, you know, working away, tinkering away, and I don't know what clicked, but I was glued to the screen for the 2-hour runtime. Like, I was there, I was in it, I felt, I cried, I laughed, I loved. It was so good. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, but I think it deserves my number 7 spot. Okay, another film I cried through from beginning to end, The Long Walk. A group of boys compete in an annual contest known as The Long Walk, in which they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. I really didn't know what I was getting into with this one, but oh my goodness, did I ever love it. I loved watching David Johnson, Cooper Hoffman, like, they played so well against one another, and I know they're gonna be in another movie together, which makes me so excited because their chemistry is just so good. I loved all of the boys that were in this. I cried so hard from beginning to end. Am I just like making the connection right now that one of the characters in The Long Walk was that Daniel from Welcome to Derry? I'm gonna have to check that, and I will leave it in. Anyways, I digress. Very good movie. I had no idea what was gonna happen at the end, and it broke me. I was like sobbing. I was inconsolable. But on to 2 more films. These are the other 2 that I've also seen twice. Bring Her Back. Following the death of their father, a pair of siblings are sent to live with a foster mother, only to learn she is hiding a terrifying secret. This is one of the more recent films that has made me wince and feel disturbed with the gore and some of the sequences. The melon knife, you know what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness, it was just such a good story to watch, and the characters were so compelling, and it was a very good drama horror, a very bleak film. I really enjoyed it. And then moving on to Weapons, which is another one that I've seen twice. I love Zach Kreger. I love The Whitest Kids You Know. I love that shit. So you can like kind of feel Zach coming through his movies, and I love that. When all but one child from the same class go missing on the same night at the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind the disappearance. I knew I was gonna love this. No notes. It was so fun. I love Julia Gardner, as we've previously discussed. This was her top film of the year. She did 3. This was her best. I just really enjoyed the story. It was like stupid fun. It was so silly near the end. Very good execution. Okay, here's where it gets a little dicey, because not a good guy, but but fantastic movie, Luc Besson's Dracula. When a 15th century prince denounces God after the devastating loss of his wife, he inherits an eternal curse and becomes Dracula. Condemned to wander through centuries, he defies fate and death itself, guided by a single hope: to be reunited with his lost love. Caleb Landry Jones could paint a wall and I would watch. He is so creepy and weird in everything he's in, and I love him for it. This was such a great telling of Dracula. We got Nosferatu last year. Here we got Dracula. They pretty much said copy paste. But I don't know, something about this movie was just so compelling to watch. The love interest in this, Elisabetta, she was played by Rosanna Arquette's daughter, and you can, like, she almost looks like Lily Collins. Like, she's so beautiful, and this was just such a great love story. You know, I hate a love story, but something about this really got me. Final two, of course, Sinners was gonna make this list. Actually, this is the fourth movie that I've seen twice. Sinners is like top notch. It is so good. Sinners is like one of those movies that we saw in the theater, and like this is the one I'm so glad to have seen on the big screen, to have felt just like the vibrations of the music, and to have seen everything and to come out feeling almost so distraught because I'd been crying for the whole movie. Like, I felt that movie. I really did. Like, deep down within it, like, changed something in my chemistry, and I really understood it. Ryan Coogler is such a fantastic director. It was so well acted. Oh my goodness. The music, the storytelling is so rich and deep, and I just loved Sinners so much as a vampire story. 2 vampire movies in my top 2. Amazing. But let's kind of flip this whole thing again. This is another film that was released a couple years ago and did not get a wide release until this year. If you've been following me for a while, I've already said that this next film is going to be my #1 film of the year because I loved it so much. The Toxic Avenger. A horrible accident transforms downtrodden janitor Winston Goose into a new evolution of hero, the Toxic Avenger. I'm a huge fan of the original series, the Toxic Avenger series, the first 3-4 films. Oh my goodness. Lloyd Kaufman, my other uncle, inside joke here. It's just like all these years later, getting a reboot of a series that was so beloved and dear to my heart, and it didn't suck. It's like, it was so good. The storytelling was so relevant. The main actors, Taylor Page, who was just in Welcome to Derry. I'm wearing my It shirt because I like simply cannot get over Welcome to Derry. Jacob Tremblay was in it. Peter Dinklage, incredibly played. There's a different person in the Toxic Avenger suit. It's actually a woman playing Toxie, which I think is so awesome. But Peter Dinklage is like, he's the main guy, and I think having that kind of voice in this character made it so unique and different, and it just became such a fun movie at the end, and another movie that made me cry. I loved it so much. It was just like an ode to a series that I love and adore, and it was so fun to watch. This was also directed by Macon Blair, who, like, so crazily, let me like break this down for you, was in Green Room. He was in Blue Ruin. He was like a bad guy in a bunch of things. Like, we've seen this guy in a bunch of movies, and then he just directed this. He was in Murder Party, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, Thunder Road, like so many incredible movies. Just to go and direct one of my favorite movies, my actual favorite movie of the year. Like, it's so incredible to see an actor that you've seen in so many things direct such an incredible film, and I loved Toxic Avenger so much. So on that, we will wrap up this video. Let me know if any of these films made your top of the year. I would be very curious to know. I know my top 10 was kind of unconventional, but that's what you get around here. I know that like Sinners has been universally loved, so like give some love in the comments for Sinners because it's just such a fantastic film. I will see you in our next video for what should be our last physical media haul of the year. I'm so excited to show you what hides behind that door. So I will see you very soon for that video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Sayonara.